Why reconnecting with your past changes everything according to and Patchett's Whistler, the Met Museum encounter. Imagine walking through the crowded galleries of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. You are in your 50s, living a perfectly stable, beautifully quiet life. Suddenly, your husband nudges you. An elderly, white-haired man is trailing you through the exhibits. When you turn around, the universe forces open a door to your childhood that you thought had been locked forever. The man is Eddie Triplett. He was your stepfather for just a single year when you were 9 years old, and you haven't seen him in over 4 decades. Welcome back. Today, we are doing a deep dive summary and psychological breakdown of Patchett's brilliant literary novel, Whistler. Set against the backdrop of the high society Upper East Side of Manhattan and the quiet, affluent commuter suburbs of Westchester County, Massachusetts, Whistler is a masterclass in how American families handle secret grief, unsaid truths, and the ultimate, redemptive power of reconciliation. If you love stories about the hidden architecture of our lives, stay tuned. Let's unwrap the 1% shifts in memory that define who we are. The dual timelines, a night in the blinding snow. Patchett brilliantly structures Whistler around 2 alternating timelines. In the present day, we follow Daphne Fuller, a 53-year-old high school English teacher who spends her days peddling classic literature to privileged Manhattan teenagers. She is married to Jonathan, a fiercely loyal, retired hospital administrator. But the moment Daphne locks eyes with Eddie at the Met, the book plummets us back to a defining, cataclysmic night from her childhood in Winchester, Massachusetts. Daphne was 9 years old. She and Eddie were driving home through a ferocious, blinding New England snowstorm when their car veered violently off the road, crashing into a ditch. Trapped in the freezing wreckage, Eddie's ankle is completely crushed. Realizing they will freeze to death, Eddie looks at young Daphne and gives her a piece of advice that would shape her entire psychological worldview. He tells her, go find help. Everyone's nice, Daphne. Everyone will want to help you. Daphne climbs out of the wreckage and walks into the dark, freezing void. Guided purely by the baseline American optimism her stepfather gifted her, she finds help. They survive. But shortly after that accident, Daphne's mother, Abigail, abruptly files for divorce. Eddie vanishes from her life entirely, leaving behind a 40-year silent void. To understand Whistler, you have to understand the specific anatomy of the American upper-middle-class family that Patchett loves to dissect. Daphne is a woman with 3 fathers, a biographical echo of Patchett's own life. Her mother, Abigail, was a woman who moved through marriages cleanly, slicing away the past whenever a chapter closed. When Eddie is cut out of the family, Daphne doesn't experience loud, explosive trauma. Instead, she experiences what psychologists call disenfranchised grief, a loss that society doesn't acknowledge. She moves on. She builds a pearl of a life. She wears the silk blouses, attends the Chardonnay lunches, and lives a comfortable, cushioned New York existence. But as she re-enters Eddie's orbit in the present day, she confesses a haunting truth. Somewhere deep inside myself, in a place inaccessible to me since I was 9, I had missed him every day of my life. The book forces us to ask a highly competitive question about our own lives. What pieces of your own identity did you leave behind just to keep the peace in your family? The secrets we keep, the truth about Eddie and Skip, as Daphne and Eddie begin holding secret meetings in New York. Sneaking off to champagne brunches and sharing a lost lifetime of memories, the real reasons for the divorce finally come to light. Eddie Triplett wasn't just a fleeting stepfather. He was a brilliant New York fiction editor from the golden era of the 70s and 80s. And Eddie is gay. In the context of 20th century corporate America, Eddie had to live a deeply compartmentalized life. The true reason Daphne's mother divorced him wasn't a lack of love. It was a discovery of Eddie's lifelong, deeply hidden love affair with his married best friend, Skip. This revelation recontextualizes Daphne's entire childhood. She realizes that her mother wasn't just being cruel. She was a woman reacting to the sudden shattering of her own domestic timeline. Patchett handles this without a single ounce of villainy. There are no bad guys in Whistler. Only people trying to survive the rigid societal expectations of their era. The symbolism of Whistler and the near-death experience. You might be wondering, why is the book called Whistler? The title stems from an incredible story within a story that Eddie tells 9-year-old Daphne while they are freezing in the crashed car to keep her calm. He tells her about a woman named Mary Carter and her magnificent chestnut mare, a horse named Whistler. One afternoon, Mary suffers a horrific fall from Whistler, plunging into a profound near-death experience. In this liminal space between life and death, Mary is visited by her deceased loved ones, experiencing total, overwhelming peace. But just as she is about to cross over, Whistler, the horse, returns to her side, pulling her back to the land of the living. This story serves as a core psychological metaphor of the entire novel. Whistler represents the anchors that tether us to life. For Mary, it was her horse. For Eddie, it was his secret devotion to Skip. And for Daphne, it was a foundation belief Eddie gave her that night in the snow, that the world is inherently kind. The psychological friction of the perfect now. But a reunion this perfect doesn't come without real-world friction. Patchett masterfully explores the subtle ripple effects this reconciliation has on Daphne's present day. Her husband, Jonathan, whom critics have called the ultimate knight in shining stability, suddenly feels an underlying current of threat. When Jonathan goes away to clear out his deceased mother's estate, he asks Daphne for reassurance that she isn't going to emotionally run away with Eddie. Daphne begins lying by omission, hiding the depth of her secret lunch dates with Eddie. Why? Because the intimacy between an adult daughter and a long-lost stepfather defies normal societal categories. It is a profound platonic soul bond. They are kindred bookworms whose hearts were stitched together in a snowdrift 4 decades ago. They are two adults examining the choices that were made for them when they had no say. Conclusion: the 3 core lessons of Whistler. Ultimately, Whistler is a luminous, top-shelf exploration of memory and the sweetness of our impermanent lives. As you craft your own path, here are the 3 core lessons from Patchett's masterpiece. 1. Your worldview is a self-fulfilling prophecy asterisk because 9-year-old Daphne believed Eddie's words that everyone is nice. She walked through life expecting kindness, and the American landscape answered her with a beautiful, tranquil life. 2. Time cannot devalue a true connection asterisk, even if a relationship lasts for only a single year. The feeling of being truly known by one other person can alter the trajectory of your entire life. 3. Reconciliation requires letting go of sunk-cost grief asterisk. Do not waste time mourning the 40 years that were lost. Celebrate the radical, beautiful now where the reconciliation is happening. As Patchett beautifully writes in the novel, asterisk, oh, this moment, when all the leaves were fresh and the lilacs were out, and New York seemed like the best idea. Asterisk if you want to live a 1% better life. Stop running from your past. Reconcile with it. If this deep dive summary of Whistler gave you value, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and let us know in the comments below. Is there someone from your past you need to reconnect with? See you in the next video.